Hare Krishna. Okay, today we will be covering chapter 8, texts 11 through 15. Chapter 8, text 11. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Visanti Yadyatya Vitaragaha Yad Ichanto Brahmacharayam Charanti Tate Padam Sangrahena Pravakshi. Synonyms: yat, at which, aksharam, syllable, om, Veda Vidyaha, persons conversant with the Vedas, Vadanti, say, Visanti, enter, Yat, in which, Yatayaha, great sages, Vitaragaha, in the renounced order of life, Yat, that which, Ichantaha, desiring, Brahmacharyam, celibacy, Charanti, practice, Tat, that, Te, unto you, Padam, situation, Sangrahena, in summary, Pravakshe, I shall explain. Translation: persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Purport: Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Sat Chakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Sat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verses. The Lord says that the Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features, especially for the impersonalists. The Akshara, or Omkara, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman, in which the renounced order of sages enters. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's features. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life, but at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried, celibate life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunctions for this age of Kali, that in this age no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chapter 8, Text 12. Sarvadvani samyamya manohede nurudya cha mudyani adyatmanaha pranam astito yoga dharanam. Synonyms: Sarvadvarani, all the doors of the body; Samyamya, controlling; Manaha, the mind; Irdi, in the heart; Nirudya, confining; Cha, also; Murdani, on the head; Adaya, fixing; Atmanaha, the soul; Pranam, the life air; Astitaha, situated in; Yoga Dharanam, the yogic situation. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind in the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Purport: to practice yoga as suggested here, one first has to close the doors of all sense enjoyment. This practice is called pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. The sense organs for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, should be fully controlled and should not be allowed to engage in self-gratification. In this way, the mind focuses on the supersoul in the heart, and the life force is raised to the top of the head. In the 6th chapter, this process is described in detail. But as mentioned before, this practice is not practical in this age. The best process is Krishna consciousness. If one is always able to fix his mind on Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in an undisturbed transcendental trance, or in samadhi. Chapter 8, Text 13. Om iti ekaksaram brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yaha prete tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. Synonyms: Om, the combination of letters Om, Omkara; Iti, thus; Eka Aksharam, the one syllable; Brahma, absolute; Vyaharan, vibrating; Mam, me, Krishna; Anusmaran, remembering; Yaha, anyone who; Prayate, leaves; Tyajan, quitting; deham, this body, saha, he, yati, achieves, paramam, the supreme, gatim, destination. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Purport. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are not different. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets according to the mode of his practice. The devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet Goloka Vrindavan. For their impersonalists, they were also in immovable other planets, known as Vaikuntha planets, in the spiritual sky, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti. Chapter 8, Text 14. Ananya chitaha satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabaha partha nityayuktasya yoganaha. Synonyms. Ananya chitaha, without deviation of the mind. Satatam, always. Yaha, anyone who. Mam, me, Krishna. Smarati, remembers. Nityasaha, regularly. Tasya, to him. Aham, I am. Sulabhyaha, very easy to achieve. Partha, O son of Pritha. Nitya, regularly. Yuktasya, engaged. Yoginaha, for the devotee. Translation. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Purport. This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: karma yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha. As indicated by the word ananchetaha, in pure bhakti yoga the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahma Jyoti, or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Whereas a jnana yogi, karma yogi, or hatha yogi has his own selfish interests, a perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to attain. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations such as Rama and Narasimha, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, he is especially inclined toward those who always serve him without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways. As stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 1.2.23, Yamevasya vrinti tena labhyas, tasya sha atma vrinti tanum svam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as he is, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. The Lord gives us such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. The special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time or place. There should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived, but a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, "Wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan." As indicated by the words Satatam and Nityasaha, which means always, regularly, or every day, a pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon him. These are qualifications of the pure devotee for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is the system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. 1. Santa Bhakta, engaged in devotional service in neutrality. 2. Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as servant. 3. Sakya Bhakta, engaged as friend. 4. Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as parent. And 5. Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord, and cannot forget the Supreme Lord, and so for him the Lord is easily attained. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment, and similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. This is the great blessing of the Krishna conscious process of chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chapter 8, Text 15. Mam upate punarjanma dukkalyam asasvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Synonyms. Mam, me, upatya, achieving, punaha, again, janma, birth, dukha alyam, place of miseries, asasvatam, temporary, na, never, apnuvanti, attain, maha atmanaha, the great souls, samsiddhim, perfection, paramam, ultimate, gataha, having achieved. Translation. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Purport. Since this temporary material world is full of the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death, naturally, he who achieves the highest perfection and attains the supreme planet Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, does not wish to return. The supreme planet is described in Vedic literature as Avyakta in Akshara and Paramagati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision, and it is inexplicable, but it is the highest goal, the destination for the Mahatmas, great souls. The Mahatmas receive transcendental messages from the realized devotees and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness and become so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor do they even want to be transferred to any spiritual planet. They only want Krishna and Krishna's association, and nothing else. That is the highest perfection of life. This verse specifically mentions the personalist devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. These devotees in Krishna consciousness achieve the highest perfection of life. In other words, they are the supreme souls. Thank you. Hare Krishna.